Well, center field, and by the way, keeping it real with Alexander Garrett tonight, center field typically doesn't need any netting, right? Center field, you got the big escape. Bernie Williams actually not only manned center field for the Yankees for all those years. He was at Cooperstown this past weekend honoring Mariano with the playing of Take Me Out to the Ball Game, national anthem. And, of course, he also played Take Me Out to the Ball Game in center field at Yankee Stadium. Center field, very expansive. No netting there. But when you think about the sidelines, in foul territory, down third base and first base line, right field and left field line, you do think, right? When you think of those territories down the first base line, third base line, then right field line, left field line, when you think of those territories, almost instantly you think of plays like this.
1-2. He loops that to left field. Going to be a tough play. Jeter on the run. Makes the play. Wow. And flies into the stands. Oh, what a play by Derek Jeter.
Remember that? Do you remember that when Derek Jeter in 2004 dove into the stands? By the way, perfect leadoff for him because A, he hit leadoff. B, he's probably going to the Hall of Fame, the next unanimous one next year after his buddy Mariano and former teammate Mariano went in this past Sunday. But Jeter dove in the stands on the third base line. And what a memorable moment that was. Because it was against the Red Sox. It was a very hot night in July, first day of July in Yankee Stadium. Extra inning affair, which John Flaherty, of course, wrapped up with an RBI double, big RBI double to win the game. It was a classic for sure, right then and there. And then, who really could forget this down the left field line?
Again in the air, down the left field line. Alou reaching into the stands and couldn't get it, and he's livid with a fan.
That's awfully close to fan interference right there. The umpire's all over it. The umpire right down there, Mike Everett's on the play. If Alou has to reach into the stands, it's fair game for the fans to catch the ball. If the fan reaches out over the field, then it can be ruled fan interference.
Marty Brenneman, Marty Lyon on the call. I think it was Tom. It's definitely a Lyons on the call. Steve Lyons, I think, on the call for Fox for that one. That was the NLCS Cubs Marlins, and if there was netting there, Steve Bartman's life wouldn't have been threatened. If there was netting there, Steve Bartman's life wouldn't have been threatened, but then again, we wouldn't have had that play happen. Of course, the Cubs gave up a bunch of runs later that game, and then the next night in Game 7, giving up another lead. But that curse was broken in 2016. But those two plays down the left field line and other plays down the right field line will now be less memorable because of the netting in Chicago for the White Sox. And it's not sad to me, though. See, the purist out there will be sad that netting's now from home plate to the left field line, down to the foul pole down the left field line, and down the right field line in Chicago, because most likely other places, I believe the Nationals might be next, are in line to debut the same thing. But if you asked the 3-year-old that got hit in Houston, if you asked the parent of that 3-year-old, if you asked the parent of the 3-year-old that got hit in Cleveland off of Francisco Lindor foul ball, what they thought of the netting, I think they'd say what a great response by Major League Baseball. I'd say fans go to the game, they should pay attention. That's the bottom line here. Netting or no netting, fans should be paying attention. You pay the ticket to the game. Obviously, you want to watch the game. I mean, that's why you buy the ticket, right? To watch the game and not watch your fantasy team, which you could check up on later at night after the game. But for those upset that they feel the unattentive baseball fan is causing this netting to happen, look at your own kids and say, I want my kids to have a good time. I am very distressed for this is what you should say to yourself. I am very distressed for the parents of these kids. So yes, netting is the right move because, in essence, by saying they're unattentive, maybe you feel the parents were unattentive. Maybe they were very alert parents that had to take their kid into the emergency room because of a flying 90-mile-an-hour baseball foul ball. But I tell you why this is all interesting to me. Because, and the Jeter fly ball definitely stands out. Foul ball dive definitely stands out.
1-2. He loops that to left field. Going to be a tough play. Jeter on the run. Makes the play. Wow. And flies into the stands.
That play to me, and that era to me, is different. We've now got sluggers launching foul balls as if they're trying to hit a homer almost every time. And some of those foul balls are vicious. More vicious than we've seen before. By the way, kudos to the U.S. Senate, for finally passing the 9/11 Victims Fund. Thank God for that. Thank God for that. Yankees played a very big role in 9/11, healing the city. But back to today. Fans outraged at the netting in Chicago last night between the Marlins and the White Sox. Take a reality check. Baseball purists upset by this. Take a reality check. Because I truly believe that you don't want your son or daughter to be harmed by a foul ball watching the game. And there is undeniable proof, especially this year, that the foul balls down the left field and right field line are even more deadly than they were years ago. Because the players are stronger. The bat and the ball might be wired stronger than ever before. To launch them out of the park, grow the home run totals month after month, day after day, game after game. And you know what? As the result of that, you're going to have a lot more vicious foul balls down the left and right field line. And yeah, you might be worried about the effects of not being able to get autographs from the players. Apparently, in Chicago, they have entrances by the third and first base dugouts to get autographs. A long-standing part of this beautiful game known as baseball. But maybe it's time that people's safety is taken into consideration. In hockey, 2003, after a Columbus Blue Jackets incident where a woman was decked by a hockey puck, they put netting up. It's the same kind of thing here. It's for safety. And I think to preserve the game, this is where the steps should be. Not the mound visit remaining thing, not the pitch clock, and then, you can try and speed up every at-bat you can, but bats are at bats. You can't shorten the strikes, the balls. That's baseball. You might want to have, like the Atlantic League is having, an independent thing in the independent ball where the umpire is now being told what balls and strikes are as of the next weekend or so in the Long Island Ducks League, the independent league. But if you are issuing quotes out to places like the Chicago Sun-Times and elsewhere that say, by Liz Dinellen, she says, I understand someone got hurt by a baseball, but to a certain extent, you come to a sporting event knowing that something can happen. So extending that all the way to the end really takes away from the fan experience. Dinellen also said that the netting would hurt fan attendance. But if that was your child, you'd be freaking out right now. Liz? I saw a quote also that said, you can get hurt anywhere. Well, can you really get hurt by 90-mile-an-hour baseball in a daily life? No. That's a no. A big no. So kudos to the White Sox. Kudos to Major League Baseball for making the netting happen. And yeah, you might think for all the way down to the foul line is aggressive and isn't needed. But there's still a risk that this foul ball can scorch in the foul ground down the left field and right field line. And I think this netting will also protect the players in a sense. Curtis Granderson dove into the net. He didn't have to worry about a hard chair to land on. So I'm all for this. You can take my purist title away from me if you want to. Because believe me, I want baseball to stay as most and as close to the way it was many, many thousands of years ago. 150 for Major League Baseball. But when it comes to fans, you want them to be comfortable. You do want them off the phone. You want parents off the phone as well. You want kids enjoying it. You want the fans in their seats. But ultimately, if they're there, you want them to be safe and really do have a good time. So, kudos to the White Sox. Some people thought it was funny. Wow, making history. Hashtag checks notes, being the first with netting. But you know what? It's time. It's time for something to change in this league. And this is one of the best changes under Manfred that I've seen in his tenure. In his tenure overall. So I'm Alexander Garrett. Short, keeping it real tonight. We'll be back, but I had to get this off my chest. I love baseball. I want baseball to be here forever. And I think this netting will actually preserve it more than people are reacting to it right now. We'll see. I'm Alexander Garrett. Have a great night. And AlexG at NYC is my Twitter.